Yeah, yeah.
This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. We're back again. We linked up in
What's
Abu
happening?
Dhabi for Bavil Ramirez. Wiley, man, I told you, obviously a pleasure to speak to you, and I'm happy that this link up stayed true. You followed me on Twitter. I didn't even realise you were on there, and now we're back on Zoom. How's things, bro?
Yeah,
Good?
my brother, man. You're right. All good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good, bro. Good. Like I said off camera, we're doing these end of year reviews, but I'm trying to mix it up, get people where, you know, everyone in boxing is good to speak to, but I speak to them all year round. It's not every day we get Wiley on the channel, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's good, man. I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad you're doing your thing, and to wrap up these end of the years, it's quite exciting because a lot has gone on this year, actually.
Well,
A
that's
lot.
it. And I think it's in a period where we're not going to have any shows now until I think the Misfits events in January. But even that's not to everyone's cup of tea. I think the first proper boxing event will be Eubank Smith, which is still well over about a month today. So it's nice to keep content wrapping up on the year that we've got. So there's still something going out every day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Who you got? Who you got? Eubank Smith. Who you got?
Mate, I can't be giving out predictions at it. That's why I got you. That's why I got you here. That's a good place to start. You know what? Ain't necessarily end of year review, but just boxing talk. Eubank
Yeah.
Smith, you've asked me the question, but I'm gonna throw it back at you.
Oh
Smith
man.
obviously
Go
coming
on.
up to 160, but Eubank, I think we know just how good he is, but he needs the fight to prove it. This will be another fight that he can get his teeth into. How do you see it
Yeah,
go?
yeah. I reckon Eubank. You know what? Yeah, I'll be honest. I've grown to understand Eubank a bit
Mm.
more. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously I
I'm the
was
same on that actually.
yeah, like I was a kid and I was watching his dad and Nigel Benn and all the rest of it. But when he came out and he was doing his thing, I guess because I had already watched his dad, you know, it's weird, it was a weird one. I was a kid when his dad was boxing, so I guess I was paying attention, but it's only now I actually look back at what he's done, and I have to have that natural respect for him. If I be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I've got a natural respect for him that maybe you know, because I was watching his dad, I didn't get locked into what he was doing, but respect is there.
The term that I've started to use with Eubank Jr. is sort of like the likable villain. And I asked him about this
Yeah,
on the red carpet for Eubank Ben before it fell through. And
yeah,
he's so relaxed and laid back in his media obligations. And he was like, oh, I'm not trying to be the villain, I'm trying to be me. But I think deep down he is. But I think now it's getting to the point where people are finding it quite commendable and respectful. And I think now, especially with the Sky platform, and obviously the Ben fight was a big fight, I think he's
yeah.
maybe getting the recognition that the family name should get.
Yes, yes, yes. He deserves it, man. Listen. I remember when he fought Billy Joe. I remember when he fought Groves. That's what I'm saying. So listen. We need to put some respect on his name. I'm not even gonna lie. I've that's what I've come to the terms with. I've come to terms that you know what, whether he's your cup of tea or not, you've got to put some respect on his name.
And I think that's where he's getting. I think, like you say, whether you like him or not, he's sort of now getting the respect from the British boxing public. But I suppose better late than never. He is 34 now. Is age potentially a worry with Eubank Jr.?
I thought he was younger than that until I actually I heard him speaking and stuff. No, I heard someone saying because he was saying the new gen, and then someone else was doing an interview and they was like, he's this age. So he's obviously new gen compared to his dad and stuff. But I tell you what, the geezer is eating a box of chicken. He's got his KFC jacket on, and he's actually making me laugh. He's making
That's what I mean. I
blood. I
think
was
he's
watching,
turning into
yeah.
this little bit of a likable villain.
Oh, brother, listen, he was doing the interview eating chicken, and I was thinking, shit, and he got to make weight. Has he got to make weight? And he was like, look, I'm gonna. But see that whole situation with the Conor Benn, oh man, you know what? I'm a Conor Benn fan, man, and every day I check to see what's going on, like with the hearings and stuff. And I just wonder, man, are they going to ban him? If they ban him, how long for? Yeah, every day I check.
Well,
What do
I
you reckon?
suppose that is sort of what I'll go next into, because I suppose on the Eubank front we had that fight fall through, which was whether people like it or not, and whether they agreed with the fight being made at a catchweight, Chris coming down to 157. It was a family rivalry, and people were branding it as a trilogy, even though they may not have quite yet done what the fathers have done. Obviously a massive fight. Gutted to see it fall through. Now with Conor, we're seeing news recently, and I think this will go out just after Christmas. So,
Okay,
as to whether something new will be out then, I'm not too sure.
yeah,
But we're hearing at the minute something like a 270-page report has been filed to the WBC.
yeah,
UCAD have got their own separate investigation going on. I
okay,
suppose I'll put it to you like this. The two failed tests, I believe, just over a month apart from each other.
yeah,
Obviously, we will see, and it's sort of fairly hard to comment on at the minute until we have the details of this report back. But
yeah.
from face value, is it now going to be hard to get the trust of the British public back coming off the back of this?
I think when you go through something like this, there is a period after it where, people will look at you sideways. Um, if I be human about it, he's not the only person who's ever gone through this. So I know people have got double standards and stuff, but um, I hope that he's going to make a statement or something. But I hope that he gets it over and done with. It is like a stain on you, you know. I guess if they get to if Eubank beats Smith, I heard that fight could still possibly happen with with Eubank and Benn. Um, yeah, I listen. If you make a mistake or you never made a mistake, we're living in a time where you are guilty until you have proven innocent. Also, like if if you fail a test, something is in your body. So whether you knew or you didn't know, a failed test means we found something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know there's different people in the world, but there's people who will be like, listen, mate, if something's in your body, it's in your body, And then there's other people who'll be like, oh, we'll wait to hear what's going on. But I guess, something in your body, something in your body. You know what I mean, Charlie? If I fail a test and they say, right, listen, Richard, you failed a test, such and such is in my body, I can say, look, I don't know how it got there. I've had a shake. I didn't know what was in the shake. I've had 3 eggs on toast. I
Well,
can
that
do
is
all of
that
that.
is
But
one of the arguments I think people have sort of put up in the air. The cross contamination route and eggs is something that's been brought up. Do you think? I mean, I don't know, and like I say, it's all skepticism until we get a proper report. But obviously, we're 3 months down the line now since any of this happened, and we're
yeah,
hearing little bits, but we've not quite had anything certain. And to be honest, I doubt it will come right over this Christmas period, probably the start of the new year now.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the scientists will do the talking, but when it's a 275-page report, does it? I mean, how much do we have to look into this and scrutinize it to get the full facts as boxing fans, or realistically, are we ever gonna get the full story? Do you think?
Well, no, I don't. I think because I've watched Eddie's interviews. I don't think we are. But one thing I will say is you can be the type of person who likes to beat around the bush, or you can be the type of person who get straight to the point, like straight down to the nitty gritty. And also, in being someone who gets straight to the point, you don't have to be someone who is just making assumptions. You know, facts are facts, and if you can go by the facts or you can choose not to. The sad thing is, for the people like myself and yourself who, we've got a lot of love for Conor Benn. I guess, have I ever disappointed someone in my life? Yes, I have.
Of course.
Did I set out to do it intentionally? No, I didn't. So I guess people who, who are on his side, some of them will be disappointed. But again, we all make mistakes. And again, he's not the only boxer to ever fail a drugs test. So I'm not gonna bash him. But
write him away for this. Yeah.
No, everyone deserves a second chance. You know what I mean?
At the time, he was obviously very emotional. His British Boxing Board of Control license, I suppose, wasn't revoked, but he didn't renew it. The British Boxing Board weren't particularly happy on the week of the fight with the fight going on and him being sanctioned under the board. So I suppose technically he's not banned by the board, but he tore up his license. He said he never wants to box under the board again. I've spoke to Eddie since then in Leeds the week before last. He said that, when you've got a fighter with the magnitude of Conor Benn, if he does come back, and I sort of put the idea like Abu Dhabi to him, which is obviously prospect, he'll be able to fight over there, no issues, whatever, America. But when you're from England and when you've built yourself up as a star in the UK, you're going to want to eventually go back to the UK. Do you think once all this is said and done, he'll maybe look back at some of those comments and maybe try and sort of reconjure that relationship with the British board? Because it would be a shame to see his career just end up being abroad when he had such a big following here in the UK.
Exactly. I think he will box in England again. I guess I know that he's not, the British Border Control haven't banned him, but I guess time is the healer here, isn't it? Time will do the healing. And I listened to what Eddie was saying about it as well. And to get him back out there, his first one or two might not be in England, you know what I mean? He might have to do a little bit of shuffling, Monaco or wherever else. But I guess he will come back, yeah, for sure. Like, I think Tyson Fury, he doesn't fight. Does he fight on one? Or is he?
There was talk a while ago about him not having a license with the British Boxing Board of Control. However, I'm not sure where that sits at the minute. I know the last stuff has been officiated by the British board. I know that before the White fight, he said he was quite passionate on it and said he didn't want any British judges. So I don't actually know what the situation is there. It'd be interesting to try and get something out of that, out of him on that.
Yeah. Do you know what? Judging is hard. It's a weird one, right? Because I've watched some fights and some of the scorecards are crazy. And then I'm like, okay, well, they're sitting right by the ring.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got to watch it and they've got to come up with a solid what they think, right? The truth, basically. I think judging that, but the more and more I watch the fights, I think, you know what? Judging is an awkward one because you can get it right, but you can get it absolutely bizarrely wrong, like on a bizarre one. And then the people in the crowd or the people at home would be like, what? He scored it 117 to 113. What fight was he watching? So they're quite under pressure, aren't they, the judges?
Well, on that point, Ben Shalom, I was driving back from Scotland today. My missus' dad, and the whole time on, we were just listening to TalkSport, and they did an 1.5 hour long segment on boxing with Spencer Oliver, Simon Jordan, Jim White, and then Ben Shalom come on the on the thing, and he's now speaking about VAR in boxing or some form of, I suppose, video assisted help with the referees. The only thing, and I think the way he spoke on there, it was brilliant. I think the only thing that's difficult with it is because boxing, like we both say, is such a
Yeah.
subjective sport. Someone can sort of score it one way, another person can score it the other. It would have to be a system that was so perfected, because I suppose you can win a fight and still not outland your opponent. We look at things like who can dominate the ring more and who can, ring generalship
Yeah.
and power punches and sort of jabs and I suppose footwork and stuff like that. How,
Yeah.
I suppose if they were going to implement something like VAR or some video assisted technology, do you think it would have
Yeah.
to be so correct to
On
the
point.
yeah,
On
yeah,
point.
yeah. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Like,
say?
yeah, for sure, man. Because I know what you're saying. Like, it would have to be on point. How many judges? Three judges they have, don't
Three
they?
judges, yeah.
Three judges, three humans, and they're gonna say what they saw and say what they thought. I guess keep them and add the VAR if they're gonna add the
Yeah.
VAR.
I think this
Is
come off the back
Ben
of
is from Boxer.
yeah,
Ben is
Ben's from
Boxer.
Boxer, and this come off the back of. So, do you remember Josh Taylor Cattrall? And then afterwards, Ben done
Yes.
the interview, and he was like,
Yes.
"Scoring like this cannot be accepted." And I suppose ever since then, he's sort of set out with his ambition to try and make scoring and the way that we have these outcries sometimes as boxing fans, and we go, "Well, how can it be scored like this? How can it be scored like that?"
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got the right intention behind it. It would just, like we say, have to be something that was proper perfected.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because yeah, you don't want no one wants to make a mistake, do they? And then they don't want to get VAR in, and that's making a
And
mistake
then that
also.
may
So
potentially be wrong, and then people complain about that like they do in football or whatever.
yeah, yeah. I think we're always going to get people who complain. That's what I mean. Like, I guess when a fight happens and there is three judges and there's everyone in the arena and there's people at home, some people are going to think one thing, some people are going to think another thing. It's very subjective,
Yeah.
very boxing.
Let's look at the promotional companies as a whole. I won't keep you for too much longer. We'll do another 15 minutes or so. But on the
Yep,
promotional companies, obviously Frank Warren's had a really good year with Queensbury, two big mega fights,
yep,
state fights in the UK. We've seen Matchroom continue their global plan, and obviously a fantastic card that we both were at in Abu Dhabi. Taylor
yep.
Serrano, Canelo, all sorts, and then Boxer. Obviously, with Sky Sports have come in and shown just what the powerhouse of Sky does. They're now looking to sign Lawrence Okolie, and they're picking up
Yeah,
fighters. I suppose a really, really good time to be a British fight fan.
for sure, for sure. I see Lawrence has got going through that stuff. Um, the one fight left. Is it one fight left? Is it not one? What did that fight that he took there count as the one fight? But he's got an opponent. I think they're going to purse bids.
So,
At them.
as of literally late last night,
Yeah,
Ben Shalom and Boxer have won the rights to put on that fight. So that will be in the UK, London, March 11th.
good, good. Okay, so done the purse bid. So I guess obviously Lawrence is my pal, so I want him to do well and achieve the stuff that he's been sent here to achieve. I guess in business, you know, sometimes you think it's this, it's that. Sometimes you think it's that, it's this. I guess for him, if he's got one fight left or he feels like he's had the fight, but then he gets a better deal, I understand that one to some degree, because it's like if I was on a record label and I've got one single left and another record label comes and's like, right, listen, we're going to make you the face of our label, we're going to da 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 da, and then and they offer a certain amount of money, I'm going to want to go over there, aren't I? And then if I go to my label and I'm like, right, I've been offered this, if you can match it a little bit, I'll stay with you. If you can't, I'm going to go over there. And then I gave them one single before, but they didn't count that single as friggin' like a main single. And then I'm trying to get away and go get the new dollar. And they're like, listen,
It's
man,
a
you
hell.
got
I'll
one
be honest.
single
It is a
left.
complicated situation, isn't it?
yeah. So I understand, but yeah, man, I'm glad. Listen, Lawrence, I want him to do well. Obviously, Matchroom, they're always going to be doing their thing. I think Eddie Hearn, right? We're in the same school year, right? So Eddie Hearn, like, I don't know what it is. I understand him so well, no matter what he's saying. It's because we're the same age. We're the same age. Obviously, I've grown up in East London. He's grown up where he's grown up, and I'm like, when I hear him talk, I understand from just normal Eddie and the business Eddie. And he's proper on his business. You know what I mean? So, and also Lawrence too is on his business. So I hope they sort it out. Really, I hope they both sort it out. You know, I know that if they saw each other I know if they had sat down and they had a coffee, they would be able to work it out. Because again, you know, like I said, if I imagine I give them a little freestyle, but they wanted a big single and they didn't count the freestyle of the single. So I get it. I get it.
I suppose on the point of the promotional outlets here in the UK, and there's even more coming through, you know, some of the rising, the smaller time ones that are coming out and people are impressed with. But do you think now, with the way things are, and we've got three big broadcasters in the UK, obviously sometimes are going to clash, which we had in November, but that's life, these things happen. But do you think going forward to 2023, as things are, it can only be a good thing to have so much competition?
For sure, I think it's a great thing, and I think it's an even greater thing if the companies can find middle ground to work with each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, I guess when you're like, if you're, for instance, Frank Warren, he's been going for a while. You know what I'm saying? Eddie's obviously younger, but his dad set it up. Boxxer, they're there. I guess some stuff they will be able to agree on and get done. Some stuff, not so much. You know, like they couldn't get the Tyson Fury and Joshua one completed for whatever the reasons were. You know, we can go around in circles, but it just didn't get completed. So I guess them being able to be themselves and do their thing, but also like come together and work together and make some stuff happen, that's where it will be even greater.
Do you think the positive that comes out of all of this is, I know that Matchroom spoke very highly about I think so. Frank Smith would deal directly with George Warren, and they spoke very highly about dealing with each other, which obviously, when you look at Eddie and Frank, they've never even been in the same room as each other. You know, the competition's always going to be there. Don't get me wrong, with some of the younger guys, obviously the sort of the conflict is there and you're going to value your business first. But now we've got Ben Shalom, who's 28, Frank Smith, who's just turned 30, I believe, George Warren, who's young as well. The three of these guys seem eager to get along with each other, and moving forward, that can only be good for us.
Exactly. George Warren and Frank Smith. Listen, some people, it's not just ego, but some people, they've got their business cap on, they're very stern, and they're not going to budge. You know, they're gonna want the best for them, and they're gonna. So when it's like that, you're gonna need George and Frank Smith, and you're gonna need the Ben Shalom. You need different people still representing, you know, but you just need different people because they'll come up with different results.
It doesn't have the animosity.
You know what I'm saying? Because I guess out of all of them, Frank Warren is the Don. He's the oldest one, I guess. And he, you know, like if he turned around and said, "Listen, mate, I've been a boxing promoter longer than you've been alive," or whatever, you know, he's the older one, right? He's not old, but he's the older one. He's done.
One that's been
he's
around
the most.
Yeah,
he's the most experienced, I guess, right? So he is going to be standing firm. You know what I mean? And then Eddie's going to be standing firm, sticking to his. But again, like I think between Ben, Shalom, I think like what you said, Frank Smith, George, and Francis even. I think like when when the others can't get it done, send the others in, man, and let them sort it out, man, because it will get sorted out. Like, working together is better than working apart and not being able to get it done.
Let's move on to the heavyweights, everyone's favorite topic. Obviously, I think the last time we spoke, it was about Fury Joshua falling through, and now AJ was hoping to fight back end of this year, but now it looks like to be March, April next year. Fury Usyk, we're hearing, is sort of close to being signed, sealed, and delivered. I think the deadline for that fight is early April, but as far as both parties are concerned, everything's all right there. I suppose that it's such an interesting time, and I think we're very lucky because the heavyweight era did. We looked 10 years ago, it wasn't what it was now. There's so much hype behind it at the minute. We've got the prospect of Joshua and White going in another big rematch. Fury Usyk for undisputed. We've got Joyce in there, who's just, I mean, that man could take a punch from anyone and come firing back with another 10. What's I suppose you sort of speak me through the heavyweight division. You'll be excited for undisputed. You'll be excited to see Joshua back. What are the fighters that are interesting you the most, etc.? Leave it with you, I suppose.
I think Fury and Usyk, Fury's agreed. They're very close. They'll get that done. It's the undisputed fight. I know that there was someone in the IBF was gonna, exactly. Hergovich would have been mandatory, but then they would, to get the undisputed fight, they would take a back seat on that one. And the WBA, what was the?
So they've worked all of this out now. So the WBA was the first mandatory due to be called. That was Daniel Dubois. But he's just ACL in the fight with Kevin Lorena, so he'll be out.
He hurt his leg, didn't he? He hurt his leg, didn't he?
So he's out for 9 months, up to 9 months, they're saying. So obviously, no chance he'll be next, regardless fit or not, allowing that fight to take place. And then because of that, I think now they're going to the IBF and saying, look, this ain't even due. And as far as we're aware, it will be for undisputed plus the Ring magazine.
Yeah. Good. And there might even be a little rematch clause in there. Who knows?
We love them in boxing.
That's going to be a really good fight. I don't know if you know what, right? Usyk is sick. He's a very good boxer, right? He's very clever. He's very smart man, actually. But I'm not sure if Tyson might just be a bit too big for him. I'm not sure. I've been thinking about it, like when I'm trying to come up with who I think will win, and I'm not sure. I think Tyson might be a bit too big for him. Size might not matter on the night. You never know what could happen. They're both slick. Joshua, I would like to see Joshua. See, the thing is, in my head, I was thinking, right, Joshua Wilder, Joshua rematch with White, Joshua, like whoever, that guy who I saw the other day fight Dylan White, Jermaine Franklin, yeah.
He was good.
Him. And then Barry come out and he said Joshua cannot lose his next fight. Right. So, like, obviously, listen, man, if he loses his next one, we don't know if we're going to be walking on eggshells.
Well, that's 3. Now, he's already at 3 in his last 5. Obviously 2 against the pound for pound great in Alexander Usyk, and definitely close to the second time round, and then 1 against Ruiz, who obviously he come back. But I think Barry Hearn is right. This next fight you have to win. I think it's looking likely to be White at the minute, but you never know. They could throw a spanner in the works. I know Otto Wallin was a name that was spoke about, but I think for AJ and with the DAZN model, I think it has to be big fights.
Yeah. You can't tune ups and stuff. I guess
And I
Listen,
think he
the
himself would
go on.
struggle with that. Sorry to interrupt. Because
No,
I
go on.
remember speaking to him in Abu Dhabi, and I know that mentally, when you've been in world title fights for like since 2016,
Yeah,
how do you then go and get yourself ready for a 10 rounder for no title? Do you know what I mean? I think even
yeah,
AJ
yeah,
mentality, it has to be like some sort of world title of some sort.
yeah, for sure. I think the rematch with White, if he does that, and then he might go for the winner of the Fury Usyk or the Wilder. I think it's but I get it. When I see Barry say that, I was like, right, I get it, because you know, like you said, the 3 out of the 5, even though he went back and beat Ruiz, it's like, obviously I wouldn't say he's over, right? I wouldn't say it, but I guess when you're a winner and you've been winning and you're winning, and if you lose one and you lose, the people will say it, won't they? So it's
I
it's
mean,
it's
the
tricky.
fans' perception of AJ
Yes, yes,
2019 onwards has changed so much, which I think is a shame. I will always credit AJ, as I think he done so much from the grassroots level of like them big pay-per-view nights, getting people into boxing. Me, myself,
yeah.
growing up, obviously AJ was like sort of a big inspiration, but the general boxing public opinions sway at the click of a fingers, like we said with the
They
Conor.
do,
Like
they do.
Fury wasn't liked, you know, he went over to Dusseldorf, did the impossible against Klitschko, seemed like no
Yeah,
one cared, and now everyone's on Fury's side. So there's always gonna be an element of question around anyone, and AJ, I think, is in that element right now.
yeah. You're right. You're right. In terms of the fans, and and if you've been winning, see, the thing is, when you're winning, they don't want you to lose, and some people can't wait till you lose. And then so I understand. You know what though? The other day I see someone say, like, I think Chisora should hang it up now, man. Del Boy, he's had enough. He's had enough. And then he himself might think, I ain't had enough. I want one more or two more. And I think sometimes when you've been putting all that work that Chisora's actually put in, I think sometimes the boxer yourself, you can be your own worst enemy, especially if you're like, you're not having it. You're always ready for a tear up, and you might not walk away at the right time. So you can be your own worst enemy, can't you?
It's a dangerous
Sometimes.
sport to overlive your career.
Yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, but yeah, Joshua, I reckon if he takes that White, I've, listen, Joshua could fight Dylan White. He could fight Wilder. Would you like to see that fight,
I would
Wilder
love
and
to see it.
Josh?
I would love to see it. And it was spoke about for years on years on years. And that back then would have been the undisputed fight. It never happened. I personally can't wait to see Wilder back in the mix.
You know what I mean? I think who do you reckon Wilder will fight next?
Well, I know that Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder are 2 and 3 with the WBC. So some
Okay,
form of final eliminator is going to be called there, but whether they take it or not. When I interviewed Ruiz in Abu Dhabi, he said that he likes the fight. He thinks he's too quick for Wilder. And obviously Wilder goes in there and just with his devastating power, I personally think one of the hardest punches of all time. I still think he gives anyone problems in the heavyweight division. It's just
yeah.
an exciting time.
I think Andy might give him some hassle.
Yeah.
I think
Too
I
quick,
think
maybe?
Ruiz, yeah, yeah, because Ruiz, you know what it is? Ruiz, he's good. He's actually
He is
good.
good. He is good.
No one wants to listen, but he is good, man. He's not just like, oh, Andy Ruiz is rubbish. Get rid of him. He's not rubbish. He's good. He's good, and I think he could give Wilder some hassle, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, Wiley is saying we've only got 2 minutes left on the recording, so we'll wrap it up there.
Okay,
We've
mate.
covered We've covered everything, I think, promotional outlets onto 2023. Conor Benn, just a
Yeah.
final message from yourself. It's always a pleasure speaking to you about boxing. Someone who, like I said at the start of the interview, I grew up listening to, I still listen to now, and
Respect, man.
especially when I can speak boxing with you, bro.
Yes, yes. Listen, mate, let's get ready for that Usyk and Fury. Where do you reckon it'll be?
Maybe
Somewhere big in
Saudi,
England or
maybe
Saudi?
Saudi, maybe Saudi.
Listen, they got the dollars, didn't they?
They got the peas big time.
And you know what? I get it. Like it is about getting the top dollar, isn't it?
That's it, bro. That's it. Final message to the people watching ahead of 2023.
All right, listen. Big respect. Can't wait for that Fury and Usyk. Big up Charlie, legend. Big up Eddie Hearn. You know what I'm saying? And let's have it, mate. Big up Chris Billum Smith. Listen, we need to get down to Bournemouth on the next one, Charles.
That's it. We'll be doing it in Bournemouth in May.
We do. We need
We'll
to get
speak
wait till
before
it
then,
warms
though.
up.
We'll speak before then.
All right, nice one.
My guy, thank you, Wiley. I'll
All
speak
right,
to you quickly off camera after recording, and then
all right.